Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Michelle, and as some of you may be meeting Basil for the first time, I'm going to briefly tell you how I first met him. It was at a tree planting day at Playfair Park this past November. There were several of us there. Some of us were politicians and some of us were just general community members. We all knew each other, but he didn't know us. He just quietly chatted with us as he worked alongside. I did note at the time that he sure knew his way around a shovel and plants, and I have since learned that that was due to his work pulling invasive species and doing habitat restoration as a volunteer in Saanich. He seemed rather shy, but as you will soon find out, he is anything but. He's actually rather thoughtful and measured, and he spends much time listening. You know that there's a term when someone is an old soul. I think of Basil more as a deep soul. There is a thoughtfulness, there's a maturity and depth of thought, and depth of character that mixes well with his youthful energy and enthusiasm. I hope that you'll take the time to get to know Basil as I have, and that you'll find him as genuine and committed as I have found him. His dedication to improving street safety in Saanich has been an impressive commitment on his part. He co-organized 2 rallies. He spoke to various media outlets. You may have seen him on local newscasts. And he was instrumental in the push to get those quick build updates that we've seen on Cedar Hill Crossroad that we are so grateful for. With a diverse range of knowledge, successful initiatives, and a demonstrated ability to work well with others to achieve common and community goals, he's a talent to contribute to our municipality, and he'd like the opportunity to be productive by being your councillor. So enough of me talking about him, and here's the man himself, folks, Basil Langevin.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. Now, we're here today because we love this place called home. We're here because we deeply care about our community, and we are here because we believe that a better future for Saanich is possible. Now, we're here on the unceded territories of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples and the Saanich peoples. We are also here today because of the legacy of systemic dispossession of these peoples who have lived in these lands since time immemorial. And as we work to build a better Saanich together, we must do so respecting Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. Now, I may be a new face to some of you. I don't know if that's quite... No, there's a few new ones here. I'll share a little bit about who I am. I was born in Kamloops to a family of teachers who always instilled in me the importance of compassion and hard work. Now, my parents scraped together the money to buy their first home when they were about my age, which really shows you how home prices were back then. They raised my older brother, younger sister, and I in a modest 3-bedroom home on the outside of town. We grew up in a beautiful hillside, quiet neighborhood that was dotted with ranches, farms, and stables. And now, because my parents were both teachers, we were certainly never well off, but they worked hard to make a great life for me and my siblings. Now, I moved away to university as soon as I turned 18, having grown up as a different kid in a city that was somewhat slow to change. I wanted to make a life for myself in a community that would embrace me for who I am. I've always been passionately committed to social justice, and while in university, I co-founded an LGBT nonprofit with some colleagues. I've now been leading that organization for 7 years, and I am so proud of the work we have accomplished in that time. We've helped create welcoming spaces for underserved students in dozens of schools. We've hosted campaigns with tens of thousands of participants from around the world. And we've worked with leaders from across Canada and the United States to tackle some of the biggest challenges facing our community. I feel so privileged and honored to have been able to play such an important role within that community and to have met so many amazing, inspiring, passionate people. I truly am a community organizer at heart. Now, we are so privileged to live in such a beautiful place as Saanich. I mean, we're here today in one of its many incredible parks, underneath a canopy of Douglas fir trees, surrounded by neighbors, all of you who deeply care about your community and are proud to call it home. Saanich boasts a rich diversity of wildlife, incredible recreational opportunities, a world-class university, and weather that the rest of the country is honestly quite envious of. And yet, our world is changing, and we can't take what we have here for granted. Before last summer, how many of you had ever even heard of a heat dome? If I told you 5 years ago that the average home price in Saanich would increase by more than $200,000 in a single year, would you have believed me? How many of us expected a global pandemic would sweep the world and fundamentally alter how all of us live our lives? The crises we are facing are arriving much faster than many of us anticipated. And in order to adapt to this changing world, we need new approaches. But I'm not just here today to try to stop things from getting worse. I'm here to ask, how can we face the challenges of our time in a way that makes our community better for everyone? Where we don't just fight to protect our existing parks and green space, but where we actively create more. Where we don't just fix our dangerous streets and roads, but where we build vibrant, walkable neighborhoods where it's a pleasure for all of us to be outside of a car. It's not enough anymore for our governments just to be stable and well managed. They also need to be innovative, willing to adapt, try new things, and actively preparing for a future that will throw curveballs at us. And so, what would preparing for that future look like? Well, it would look like lining all of our streets with trees, whose lush canopies can shade us from summer heat waves, and whose roots can absorb floodwaters in the years to come. It would look like building safe bike routes and convenient public transit options in every neighborhood, so that when gas prices hit $2 a liter, people aren't stuck deciding whether to drive to work or buy groceries for their kids. It would look like creating new parks, daylighting our creeks, and building vibrant public spaces where our community can gather. It would look like building walkable shopping districts filled with small local businesses so that our money stays within our community rather than padding the fortunes of Amazon and Walmart. And lastly, it would look like investing in truly affordable housing so that our youngest generation can one day start families of their own. Now, most of these aspirations cannot simply be accomplished by throwing more money and resources at our existing systems. But that's not to say that they can't be done. Other cities around the world have shown us, through innovative, nimble approaches, we can create incredible progress without breaking our budgets. By following in their examples and learning from their successes, we too can create the kind of community we will need as the world changes. And so today, I welcome you to a campaign for Saanich Council and CRD that says loud and clear, we all deserve to live in a community that cares for our well-being. That we all deserve safe, active streets that give us the freedom to choose how we want to get around, whether that be on foot, by bike, by bus, or by car. That we all deserve great local amenities and parks within walking distance of our front doorsteps, and that we all deserve to live comfortably without having to worry about whether we'll make rent at the end of the month. All of this is possible, and all of this is necessary. We can create a better future together, and that starts today. Thank you.